Ah, the art of the pout. It's a very sacred art in the kaleidoscope of anime expressions. After watching a lot of anime, I noticed a variety of different types of visuals that were expressed in almost every anime I watched. I'm sure you guys have too. Whether it be that cute fang, the wettest of sweat drops, or even that blinding white light. Ah, it's so bright, what the These techniques are used in anime to convey various emotions, feelings, and states of mind in different characters. This style of communication through art started in manga as a way to show a character's inner thoughts without the use of words. It of course makes sense that this would be translated to anime, since most anime start out as manga. One of the most important tools used in order to convey the visual language used in anime are the eyes. Like, I'm sure most of you guys know that some anime eyes are very big. Like, look at this. If an anthropologist looked at this, they would have said that she was an owl monkey. And take a look at all of this. They literally look like cats. Speaking of cats, there is a theory out there that says that anime characters are based on cats. I think there is some truth to this, but it isn't entirely correct. Apparently the theory falls a bit flat when you consider that a lot of anime, for example, Shonen Jump anime, don't use a lot of cat-like faces for their characters. Of course, there are some exceptions, but look at Dragon Ball, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Chainsaw Man. They aren't drawn in that way, and especially look at JoJo. JoJo has one of the most unique art styles out there, and their characters are drawn in a variety of ways. It seems like the cat-inspired designs are mainly in slice of life and romance animes, since cuteness is often emphasized in these type of shows. Like, look at K-On! They all literally look like cats if you really think about it. Yui even gives Asusa the nickname, which is the wordplay of Asusa's name and the sound the cat makes in Japanese. Toradора's main heroine, Taiga, has this look too, and she kind of resembles a cat, and her name is literally a play on the word tiger, which looks like a cat if you didn't know. And who can't forget the most wholesome and cute slice of life show? Elfenlied. Come on, aren't they just the cutest kittens? But the cat design theory is ultimately debunked when you consider Osamu Tezuka's influence. Tezuka is often called the Godfather of manga. As a kid, he watched many Disney films and became inspired by them. He implemented this style into his work, and from there on out, he was one of the first mangakas. He gave birth to anime's distinctive style, characterizing big expressive eyes, exaggerated emotional expressions, and the varying hair colors. After that, it is apparent that most manga and anime today still have his influence in it. Since you guys now have some background on anime visual language, I'll be listing off a lot of different elements and giving you a brief summary too. There are about like 60 entries, so we're gonna be in for a ride. Also, before we get into it, this video would not be possible without Chris Kinkad's guide on anime visual language and Japanese of anime.com. A lot of the information I have researched for this video comes from these sources, and both of their websites go way more in depth on anime's visual language and the numerous elements. I have also compiled other information in this video from other sources too. All these are linked in the description, and I would definitely recommend you guys check out Chris Kinkad's website and Japanese of anime.com if you like reading about anime and Japanese related content. Once again, thanks to them. With that being said, let's start with abstract background patterns. This type of visual usually explains how a character is feeling at a certain moment. A common abstract pattern that is used is the bubble pattern. You usually see this when a character has feelings of love and kawaii. Ahoge. The word ahoge translates to stupid hair. It's usually a strand of hair that springs upwards from a character's head. They're usually associated with silly and dumb behavior, but it's honestly more of a quirk nowadays, and I swear you can distinguish a character to be the protagonist by their ahoge. Kanbei. This is when an anime character sticks their tongue out and pulls down one of their lower eyelids. Some might even add in a for good measure. The akanbei is usually used among children to show their immaturity, but when people of other age groups use an akanbei, it's generally a sign of their immaturity or pettiness towards something. Sometimes, characters will use the akanbei as a method of adorable hostility. In these cases, the person is self-aware of how childish the act is, but they're doing it to mock their victim. Arrow eyes. This expression is used to convey a strong emotion with the character's eyes being closed. It's typically utilized to denote discomfort, laughter, awe, or distress. Arrow eyes can be drawn in a few different ways. Sometimes they're drawn as bold, thick lines, and other times they're drawn as soft, parallel lines. Let's go to arrow eyes' distant cousin, arrow piercing. This is used when the character says something hurtful to another. The arrow usually pierces through the heart or head, and a barrage of arrows can hit a character too. An arrow through the head typically happens when the character is hurt intellectually, and one through the heart when they're hurt emotionally. Honestly, in real life, I do imagine an arrow piercing me in similar scenarios. Blank face, or blue face, is often used when a character is feeling extremely embarrassed or ashamed. The character's upper face can be obscured by colors, shadows, lines, or just be completely blank. Purple, for example, is used to denote a character feeling sad or ill. Blank white eyes. This is used when a character is shocked or stun-locked. Their eyes enlarge and their pupils vanish. So if a character got like NTR'd or something, I mean, this would be the appropriate face. Blush. This is a very simple and straightforward element used since people blush in real life, obviously. But since this is anime, sometimes blushing can be taken up a notch where the character just gets very red. Typically this happens when someone is embarrassed and trying to hide their inner emotions, just like if you saw your crush or something in real life. Cat mouth and cat fang. When a character is feeling very mischievous, their mouth either turns into the uwu mouth we see everywhere, or they grow a fang. But some characters will almost constantly have a fang, like Nagatoro and Senpai for Magical Senpai. It makes sense since both of these characters are very playful and mischievous. Censoring steam. You definitely seen a hot spring scene in an anime and saw that the steam is perfectly censoring booba or kaka. I mean, this is definitely used for censoring purposes since sometimes characters in anime can see through the steam, which is understandable since steam doesn't really get thick enough to censor your pee-pee in real life unless you want to like get suffocated and die of asthma. Chibi deformation. Sometimes characters will be drawn in chibi forms during comedic and lighthearted scenes. The chibi art style can be used for various other things such as a character becoming a chibi to seem cute, showing a younger version of a character, or even being the main art style of an anime. It's also just like really cute to look at. Like go to an anime store or like a convention and there's like a ton of merch with anime characters in chibi form. Like look at my Yotsuba keychain right here. Pretty cute, huh? Clothing explosion. This is typically used in different ways between guys and girls. For guys, it's usually used to show how strong a dude is with their shirt exploding to show off their strong muscles. This mainly happens during times where a guy's powering up like Goku in Dragon Ball. For girls, on the other hand, it's often used as fan service. Typically, the clothes don't explode like guys, but they're torn off. Like, if you've seen Fire Force, look how many goddamn times Tamaki's clothes are ripped off. Like, bruh, like, we get it. Cloud of sparkles. Sparkles hover in the air near characters that are attractive to other characters. Sparkles are also used to show how something is clean or even a character is trying to come off as lovey-dovey and nice. Crying large teardrops. This is an exaggerated form of crying to show how much pain a character's in. They're literal crocodile tears, and the tears can appear like fountains and streams. Despair face. When a character is feeling stress or in literal despair, the expression shown on their face is usually of large open eyes, sometimes with tears and a sad or surprised mouth shape. We also get a zoom in or close up of a character's face when this expression is used. The despair face is sometimes paired with other elements such as blue face mentioned previously. Doll anatomy. Sometimes when an anime character is nude, they have doll-like anatomy. They aren't drawn with genitals and it's blank, just like a Barbie doll. This technique is mainly used to make the audience focus on other aspects of the character instead of their appearance. In psychological scenes, it also symbolizes a character's vulnerability or innocence. Draining color. This is used when a character is feeling depressed, shocked, or exhausted. They become discolored and turn white or gray. This is sometimes known as the paper cutout. Dramatic spotlight. To highlight a melodramatic moment, a spotlight shines on a character like they're on stage. This is often used for comedic effect. Dull eyes. This is an aspect used to show a character's disappointment or unhappiness towards another character. The dull eyes will typically lack pupils and highlights, but sometimes highlights are used but pupils are still gone. Dull eyes can be confused with empty eyes, which will come up soon. Electric lines. This can be used for two different reasons. When it sparks between two characters, it symbolizes a rivalry and conflicting ideas between them. When with just one character, this usually represents a realization or idea. This could be classified as a realization mark, which is another element in anime visual language that I will get into. Empty eyes. When a character has these eyes, it means the character is dead, controlled, traumatized, blind, or angry. This is the type of eyes I have when looking at most of the out-of-pocket comments I see on Twitter. The kind of opposite of empty eyes is the eye twinkle. These eyes are usually sparkling with stars or hearts to express a love, desire, or attraction a character has towards something. Now, this is the type of eyes I have when seeing cool announcements on Twitter. By the way, you guys should follow me on Twitter at @TheDelamo. If you guys want to make my eyes twinkle, we can start a group chat or something, I don't know. Falling wash tub. You know how in American cartoons there are falling anvils? Well, the Japanese equivalent is a falling wash tub. This is used for comedic effect and happens when someone is shocked or has a bad reaction to a joke or pun. Floored. Similar to the falling wash tub, this is also used for comedic effect and happens due to a bad joke or dumb realization. Flower on head. Sometimes a flower sprouts out of a character's head, meaning they're merry, carefree, happy-go-lucky, and having no worry in the world. It's used when a character is in love or when they're being silly or stupid, as it means they stop being serious. Freeze frame. This is a frozen frame with a chalk or a pastel texture that freezes a dramatic moment or cliffhanger before fading to black or to the next sequence. Gelatin boobs. Okay guys, we all know how booba works in anime. The jiggle physics be crazy. Like damn, I don't think boobs in real life jiggle this much unless they're bazungas. Oh, okay, but for real. Gelatin boobs are often associated with women who are feeling self-conscious. Often women's boobs aren't usually jiggling as much, unless it's like high school DxD. Ghost. Ghosts usually pop out of a character's mouth or nose when they're either unconscious or very shocked by a joke or something. The ghost can be paired with other elements such as draining color. Hair strands sticking out. This generally happens when the character is overwhelmed, at a loss, or just straight up confuzzled at what's going on. This shouldn't be confused with the ahoge since that has a completely different meaning. Hummingbird. This is when a character flaps their arms violently like they're a hummingbird. Characters do this when they're feeling agitated, impatient, or full of energy. Ikari, or angry face. Ikari, which translates to anger, is a representation of anger or rage. When characters are feeling angry or enraged, they will often develop sharp eyes, flared nostrils, a fiery aura surrounding them, and a popping vein right above their head. This helps express rage that is not supposed to be taken seriously and frequently eases the tension. Kanashimi. This translates to sadness and is just simply showing a character feeling sad. This is typically done by giving characters teary eyes, a downward gaze, and a quivering lip. Kimono/yukata. You definitely see a character wearing one of these in a slice of life anime when they're going to a summer festival. They usually give female characters one of these to show off their feminine side since wearing a kimono or yukata represents Japanese femininity. The girl wears one around their romantic interest to appeal as an ideal woman. Light rays of censorship. This is used to hide private parts from the audience similar to censoring steam. In some cases, the light rays are added after the animation is done and suggests that there may be an uncensored version of a scene or so, which you can usually find in Blu-rays of the anime. Long hair censorship. Like the light rays and censoring steam, sometimes hair will be used to cover up body parts, most commonly of female characters in their chests. Mushroom growing on head. Sometimes mushrooms start growing on their pet character's head, or the character starts growing mushrooms in some dark lone corner, showing how sad they are. This is usually on the more lighthearted side and is sort of the opposite of how the flower growing on the character's head is. Nosebleed. When a character is very aroused, they start spilling blood out of their nose. This comes from a Japanese folk belief that nosebleeds occur when one is experiencing intense romantic feelings. The level of blood varies to show the comedic effect and the level of horniness. Nose bubble. This is typically used when a character is sleeping or knocked the fuck out. It inflates and deflates with a character's breathing and pops when a character wakes up. It's basically the anime equivalent of disease used in Western media. Oars. This is when a character collapses to their hands and knees and falls on all fours onto the floor. It's used when someone feels defeated, dejected, or hopeless about something. This can be combined with a dramatic spotlight to emphasize the despair the character is feeling. Pout. This usually shows a character's discontent with a situation. The pout has become very popular due to how quiet it is, and it is used in a lot of anime merchandise too. I could honestly make an entire video on pouts alone since I'm also a big fan of them. So let me know if you think it would be something you'd like to see. Puffed hair. Sometimes the character's hair will be puffed up in a kind of afro look after an explosion or electric shock. Its purpose is mainly for comedic reasons to show how much of a toll the character took from a certain event. Realization mark. When a character realizes, notices, or is surprised by something, a mark is drawn banging away from their head or eye to symbolize their sudden reaction. The exact mark varies. It can be an impact mark, 3 or more lines, a flash, or a lightning flash. Scare deer. The bamboo scare deer represents a critical moment in a character's life and the passage of time. In real life, it's used to scare away deer by making the bamboo hit a rock to create a noise to imitate the deer. Secondary kiss. This is sometimes known as an indirect kiss and is when a character eats or drinks something and then hands it to another character. I don't think this is a big deal in the West since I literally did this with my friends when sharing a drink or something. Or it means we're homosexual. Short skirts. I know you guys have always wondered why skirts are so short in anime. Well, apparently they represent seriousness and getting things done. It comes from Sailor Moon, and other short skirt wearers are Mikoto from Tuaru. But it's only for fan service most of the time, I know this. Sideburns. Sideburns represent male power and abilities. This is kind of like the male version of short skirts. This is mainly used in older anime. Sigh. A visible burst of air is used to show a character sighing from tiredness or relief. Smug. Just like the pout, this is another popular face we see in anime. It's used in a lot of merch and memes. The smug is usually used when a character is feeling confident or playful towards another character, usually teasing them about something. If only smugs in real life could look as cool as in anime. Speed lines. When some high-speed motion is going on, lines of speed appear near characters and in the background. This is usually occupied in fast fight scenes or static characters to show off speed. Spiral eyes / spiraling at eyes. Characters will develop spiral eyes that look like at symbols when they're dizzy, puzzled, overwhelmed, flustered, and so on. The eyes are also used when a character is stunned in general. Sudarime. This is when a character's eyes are drawn like horizontal or parallel lines when they're relaxing, enjoying something, or having fun. They're also drawn as parallel vertical lines sometimes. Surprise face. Very simple. When a character is surprised, they are often depicted with wide eyes, dilated pupils, and sometimes a pale face. It's honestly similar to the blank face, just with some variations. Sweat drop. When the feeling of worry or anxiety hits a character, they develop a sweat drop that increases as the anxiety increases. There are some variations to the sweat drop. First is the big sweat drop that appears in your character's head that is used in more comedic moments. Then is the small sweat drop used to make the character's expression slightly more tense than normal. Dripping sweat drops are used to exaggerate the emotion a character is feeling. Plumes are spilled sweat drops used to show awareness, timidness, or relief. Flickering sweat drops are drawn as circles flicking over a character's head when the character is feeling flustered or panicking. Last is the shooting waves of sweat drops shooting away from a character, which is like an exaggerated version of fluids. Whew, that was a lot of sweat drops. I'm literally sweating from that. Let me know what type of sweat drops I was sweating. Thigh show off. Anime usually pans the character's upper thighs for fan service. Characters wearing thigh highs are usually victims of this since there's an attraction to the skin shown when thigh high socks and skirts are combined. Tiny dot eyes. Characters develop dot eyes when they are in a state of fear. They are usually feeling overwhelmed, confused, and stressed. And lastly, Yorokobi, or the joy face. Joy or happiness in anime is usually represented through a big bright smile, sparkling eyes, and sometimes even dancing. This is honestly how I feel getting to the end of this list. Holy shit, we're done. As we saw, anime visual language is such a large concept that I just barely scratched the surface of it. Some of the entries I mentioned could be its own video. Visual language varies in every anime, but it all builds off from how anime is drawn. The simple style gives artists a lot of freedom to experiment with, and anime's visual language expands on human expressions and behavior in real life. It creates what we love to see and commonly associate with anime. When you see a technique used in anime's visual language being used in a Western cartoon, you automatically think, hey, that's very anime-like. Avatar: Last Airbender and Teen Titans are great examples of this. By the way, both of those shows are goated. Let me know if I missed some elements using anime visual language, and tell me your favorite in the comments. I'm personally a fan of pouts and smokes myself, but we all know the best one is the Jealous and Boo.